Welcome back to the channel, man. I thought man, y'all gotta start listening to me, man. Cause I come up here, I say, yo, I got some special guests. I'm working on some stuff. Y'all don't believe, and that's your problem. Y'all don't believe. This is the road to 2K subs, by the way. My name is Rashad Milligan. I'm joined here by Black Queen. I'm joined here by someone very, 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 very special. We giving out flowers here. You know what we do on this channel. We give Black Queens their flowers when Black Queens deserve their flowers, which is 365 days, 366 on the leap year. Helen, all the way from the South Side. I fantasize about this back in Chicago. Mercy, mercy me. Come on, man. Subria Whitaker, what the heck is going on?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for that lovely introduction.
No problem, no problem. I have to bring on the folks that are doing great things for the no pun intended, the game. Of course, Sabri's with Grow the Game and stuff like that. And also, especially this season, because I continuously, have to emphasize I have not watched as much basketball as I wanted to this season. Everybody gets on me for it. Rashad, you don't even know what you're talking about. Duh, I said it at the beginning of the video. I ain't been watching. Anyway, so I had to bring on the folks that have been watching and that know more about the game and what's going on than myself. And you have to be humble enough to admit that, because the problem with today's, I'm going on a rant here, tangent. We're Final Four week. Subria, just first things first. Who are you looking at in Final Four? Or should we start with today? Scratch that. Let's start with today. South Carolina, I'm getting DMs. I'm getting DMs. Clean sweep. Don Staley, Aliyah Boston. They said, is it going to be Aliyah? Is it going to be Caitlin? It's Aliyah. So first things first, reaction to National Player of the Year and National Awards announced today.
First reaction is, oh Lord, the Gamecocks and the fam about to turn Twitter up. That was the first reaction. But as they should. And like I thought, they are absolutely turning them up. I think when you look at who her competition was, I think it was clear. I think, it's really no surprise. So I think everybody should have known. I'm shocked, but I'm not shocked at the responses though. Like, so many people are like going out of their way to kind of mention Caitlin Clark. And I feel like it's like one of those things where people try and say like, oh, there's like a rival, Serena and somebody, and the other person is somebody that Serena has beaten like 95% of the time, but they keep trying to make it seem like they're on the same level. And I don't think that's not the case here. So it is the case here. So I just wish people would just take it for what it is. You don't, your favorite player doesn't get the award that you wanted them to get. You have the off season to reflect. They have the off season to step their cookies up and get better. And we will just say, we'll see y'all next season and leave it at that.
I was talking to a couple of homies today, and we were looking at we ended up on talking about Stanford's social media presence and stuff. And we were looking at Haley Jones's numbers and then Cameron Brink's numbers. Obviously, Cameron Brink has a little bit of an edge of being Steph Curry's best friend, but still, it's crazy. Like, the disparity is crazy. So I just wanted to ask you, I guess, just, as a Black woman in the game with the entire organization called Grow the Game, what is the importance of making sure that, because it's such a push that we've seen from you all for the past 2 years of making sure the Black women get their spotlight and their shine in the sport. What is the importance of that?
I think everybody and how they're going to navigate social media, and just like, I think back in the day, we used to like, when social media started becoming a thing, we used to be living life and just take a moment to post a picture or something, or interact with our friends. And so I think our social media feeds were a more accurate reflection of our lives. And now I think it's like the opposite, where social media is becoming people's whole lives and it's not really depicting, anything accurate. So I think with that being said, I think we're going to see some disparities, because certain players, like if I was Aliyah, I wouldn't get on social media. Like, not the way you all talk. Absolutely not. And disrespecting at me, like, I'm not getting on social media. So I think from jump, we're going to see the difference in that, and people saying, oh, well, you need to be more social, or you need to do this. And then players having hard boundaries where they're just like, I'm not going to do that. Like, I work with some WNBA players, and that's a constant fight I have with them. And I'm like, you need to do this. And they're like, that's not me. And I don't push them to be something that they're not. So I think that's one level to it. There's another level where people whose names you hear more in the media, they're just gonna get more followers off that. It has nothing to do with their talent and nothing to do with their social media presence. Because you look at like Diana Taurasi, Diana only gets on Twitter and Instagram to fulfill a contract. When it's some like a partnership or a sponsorship and she has to make a certain number of posts, that's what she gets on it for. But she has so many followers. So right there is another layer. And then like today, the numbers came out about certain players and their supposed worth for NIL deals.
And
And
they were all, it was boy, Palio. How you pronounce it from Duke? Pablo? Paola.
It's a women's sports.
Well, there it
is. I cannot be held responsible for knowing anything on the men's side at any level of play. But I think it was Paige. I remember it being Paige and Zaya. I don't even remember.
Paige, Haley was number 2. Paulo was number 3. Zaya was number 4. Number 5 was like Cameron Brink.
Well, okay, so we'll fact check this later. But my point in bringing it up is that regardless of who it was, everybody on there was lighter than a paper bag. Everybody was like essentially the same hue if you will, and that's a problem. So as we acknowledge that there are agendas and systems at play doing what they were designed to do, working quite well, we just need to acknowledge that and try to fix it. And so in that same breath, not hold that to be a player's worth. Like somewhere I think it gets, like all the other things get lost. So okay, yeah, Paige, Haley, yep.
And then AZ was 5 instead of Cameron Brink. But yeah, I mean, yeah, like you said, the light skin taste, the paper bag test. One thing I wanted to ask you was how is Cap doing? Do you have any idea of how Cap's doing? Like, I see that jersey. It's the first jersey I see in the background. How is she doing?
So I saw her during the finals last year, and she was fine. On that day, she was fine. She appeared to be fine. Like, so I don't have any information to give other than what has already been said, but lately she's been more active. Like I think I was on Instagram within like the last 24 hours and I saw her posting on there. She's I think she might be actually in Chicago more than I think she was previously. But we had a great conversation when I saw her. Definitely had to give her flowers when that happened. Just let her know, like, yo, we love you. I think a lot of people in the W past and present have been reaching out and letting her know that they're here for her, they support her. So my opinion, not anything official, not anything medical or anything like that, but she seemed to be getting back to herself when I saw her in October.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, man. You know, like you said, you got to show her that we appreciate her and show her flowers that, you know, like you still matter. I think a lot of times, you know, salute to Nia over there who's doing work about, you know, athletes after when the game stops, when the ball starts dribbling. It could be very, this is me speculating. Like it's just a thing. But you know, like it could be very easily to feel like if you're not going to practice, if you're not going to your game, that, you know, like nobody cares about you anymore. And like, no, you still gave our entire generation like someone to look up to. Like we still remember. Like I always remember the Angel versus her when she was with New York. going at it in the playoffs. Like I always remember that game. Angel had like 42, she had like 35. And like it's just like moments like that you'll always remember. The YouTube clip that you see circulated every 6 months of her playing pickup with NBA ballers and everything like that. Like she means so much to the game and so much to us of just growing up. And it's important that she always remembers that we didn't forget just because you aren't playing anymore. But
we don't forget, but I think
ahead.
The league and former teams, like everybody can say it's not their job, it's not their responsibility, because technically once you're no longer in the WNBA, then you're like not like in a sense like handed off to the Retired Players Association. And then she has New York and Phoenix and Chicago, and briefly LA. And I think even before that, like maybe even Indiana. So like it's like, well, who takes responsibility for her? So I think they need to be more intentional. Everybody needs to be more intentional about keeping those relationships with them and recognizing them and letting them know that they do cherish those memories, that they do still want to have a relationship with them. So I would like people in official capacities to do that and don't just leave it up to the fans or, her former fellow teammates.
Right. I wanted to ask you the background. It's just I keep going back to the background because it's so amazing. That's like probably best background I've seen on the Zoom. But I wanted to ask you, when was the first moment you fell in love with the game of basketball?
I want to say, because just to be clear, I am not, and I hope this doesn't like disappoint you, I am not a basketball player. So I cannot say, oh, when I was 4, my cousin was out there. No, I'm a soccer player. I've played soccer my whole life. And then one day I was at home trying to find something to watch on TV. And I remember just seeing Women's National Basketball Association. Now, mind you, I'd watched like Sister growing up. So I'd seen Lisa Leslie on the show. It wasn't until I was older that I started watching Martin and saw like when they had Dawn Staley and stuff on there. So like, throughout our childhood, we had been introduced to the women of the WNBA, but this was like the first time I'm seeing a game. I'm maybe in like 8th grade at the time. And I'm just sitting there looking and I'm like, wow, this is like a women's league. Like obviously from Chicago, I'm going to know Michael Jordan. I'm going to know about the Bulls, the NBA, but like I had to just stumble upon it. It was on TV. I was watching the game and I saw Candace Dupree, who quickly became my all-time favorite WNBA player ever. And that's actually her bobblehead right there.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Shout out Candace.
So yeah, shout out Candace Dupree. I love that Chicago loves Candaces. But that was like, after that, I was like all in. I'm like begging my mom, can you take me to, and they played so far when I was young, like 45 minutes away on a toll. And I live in the city. So it really wasn't, they weren't in the city. So I'm like, Mom, can you take me? Parents who love to take you there or pick you up, but they do not want to do both. But obviously she would be responsible for doing both. So she didn't really want to take me, but I convinced her to take me. And now I'm just like looking, study watching games. And then in high school, I did a whole report, a math studies project on the WNBA and trying to ask people, like, why do these disparities exist? I had like the top players in the the top players in the NBA. And I'm like, can you name this person? Do you recognize this person? What jersey is this? What team is this? Trying to figure out, like, what do you all know and why? And I even had at the end, like, why do you watch the WNBA? Yes or no? Why or why not? And just trying to figure it out. And like I said, this is me at like 14, 15. So, I mean, after that, it's quite obvious that I've gotten to a point now at 27 and I'm collecting jerseys, going to as many games as I can, working with players, on a podcast, talking about, the Chicago Sky, doing a nonprofit that's about, taking people to games. So that's pretty much how we got here.
Well, to skip ahead a little bit and then we'll go back.
Okay.
We have some more news today. Atlanta's own Georgia gal, Georgia gal. Lexi Brown finally traded from Chicago. She said, I thought you were qualifying offer, right? Yeah, that doesn't mean they're going to bring me back. Finally got traded. LA Sparks. How are you feeling about the trade? How are you feeling about the deal? How are you feeling for Lex? What do you see her outlook being in the W, I guess, with LA? Does she make the team?
So that's like a whole nother level to it, because I'm not gonna say it was difficult. Well, from my opinion, outside looking in, it was somewhat difficult for her to make the sky, because they were, I don't know what James Wade in that front office does, but they cut her quick at her, but they'll bring you back. And I was actually shocked that she made it back, because she is so outspoken. That's one thing Lexi's gonna do, is tell you how it is and how she feels. So I was super shocked that they brought her back after she'd gone and spoke about it. And then she was there to win. And so now, regardless of where she goes, she's considered someone that brings that playoff mentality and experience. And commentators talk about it all the time. So that should give her a leg up. However, LA already has like so many people and so
a gazillion guards.
A million guys. I don't know if one day the Connecticut Sun and the LA Sparks got on the phone and was like, let's see who could get the most guards, because they have way too many. And I'm always trying to figure out, where is this person gonna go? Like, especially because a lot of players, like Diamond was talking about playing time, and then she ended up in Phoenix, and I'm like, sis,
even worse.
Right. So I'm just like, I feel the same way. Like, obviously, Lexi didn't come out and say, I want to leave because I'm not getting playing time. But you're looking at people like Liz, who they're already calling in Liz Angeles. And then you have literally President Queen NECA, who's going to get playing time. You have Taya, who the fans love. So LA better tread lightly with whatever they do or however they treat Taya. And then you have my family, Brittany Sykes.
Slim. Yeah.
Slim. So
Hollywood.
When you talk about Brittany and you're talking about defense, I personally feel like, obviously biased, that she was LA's defense last year, which she made all, defensive team, basically runner up for Defensive Player of the Year. And she just won Defensive Player of the Year playing in Australia with the Women's National Basketball League. So I don't think you can get rid of her. I mean, clearly you can't get rid of her. Then you have Christy, who, again, loyal to the club, everybody loves, an
80
OG.
years old.
So they're going to have to, but you're going to have to, whatever they do there, I don't know if they're going to do a Simone.
Yeah, I was about to say, they're about to Simone Augustus, sir. You already know how it goes.
But, I see, that's another thing that I think people need to just come out, and I think teams need to just start coming out and saying, look, we love you, but, it's about that time. We need expansion. We need roster spots. And somebody like Christy and maybe even Shanae, y'all got other jobs. I love Christy. Like, I remember when we saw her play last season, I was like, I love you, Christy. Like, I love Christy. I will fangirl over her so fast. But when you have a coaching job in the NBA and you a commentator, and like Shanae, got all the jobs on ESPN,
All right. I need to be respectful. Hey, look, folks is watching. I need to be respectful. So it was points last year where, Shanae was obviously battling injuries, and she's still doing the ESPN thing. Sherwood Golick at the time on ESPN Radio, first Black woman to have a show on ESPN Radio where she's headlining Salute. It was so, I'm like, bruh, like, do you really love basketball for real? Like, at this point, because it's like, you can, like you said, you can eat, you good. But go ahead, continue. I'm sorry.
I mean, and I think this is maybe where we might get ourselves into trouble, because it's like, I don't know where the line is between, telling her, get all of your things. Like, by all means, I want you to do all of what you want to do, get all of your things. But again, we have to be realistic. And in doing that, I also want to be very clear that it doesn't start with Christy or Shanae. There are some other, like, if you're going to talk about it, there are a lot of other names on that list that you need to get to before you start, doing interviews with players, saying, do you really want to be here? So I don't think it would be fair to start with them if they're not going to keep that same energy with a few other people, who may or may not, be gearing up for a whole show talking about the Final Four. I won't name names, but.
So salute to Renee, by the way. Renee Montgomery, like you said, like she was starting to, is getting a lot now. And then, maybe I care more about Activision this year. You know what? I'm going to sit out just like, Kyrie said he thought about doing. I'm going to actually sit out. And you know what? Let me just slide into a different role. I see a greater calling for my life. I know I made fun of Renee a bunch of times for how the last season went. It's on the channel, blah, blah, blah. But like, so salute to her for at least, what I'm saying, acknowledging maybe I like other things better than basketball right now. And I've won a championship. I've established myself. Yeah. Let me step aside. Go ahead. Yeah, I mean, if you want to say, go ahead.
I personally, and I got in trouble for this. They tried to eat me up on Twitter. Thankfully, nobody could cancel me because that would have to like email me about me. But if they could, I'm pretty sure they would have tried. But I got into some hot water because people thought I was like, you must be friends with Renee. Because all I said was, I felt like there's a line. Look, WNBA Twitter, whatever you want to call it, we need to draw some more lines in the sand and use like permanent marker, because I think people were too hard on Renee, and you do not need to at that lady every day on Twitter because the organization as a whole is not commenting on something that you want them to comment on. Like, leave her alone. She is out here trying to do her job, do a podcast, do a family podcast, run a foundation. Like, she is booked and busy.
It's a bad look. It's a bad look, Subria.
It's optics, absolutely. And I think that might be just something to attribute to the youth in her, and the fact that she's been a player and she's just now getting in the front office side of things. And we can't expect her to know how that works on that end just because she's been in the league. And then you have a new ownership group who, and this is not somebody like maybe Vegas where the ownership has professional sports teams already. They know how they run and they're just adding another one. This is a new ownership group that is new to professional sports. And, with the young team, with the exception of, Tip, but young people, and everybody is learning. And I just want us to remember that when we're critiquing people, because if the world flipped tomorrow and professional athletes walked up to all of us at our jobs, telling us how to do our jobs, we would have a little bit of different.
They do, by the way. They do in my case.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. When I did radio and editorial when I was coming up in high school. And I remember when I was 17, I absolutely got cursed out by a rapper.
Yeah, so you already know. You already know. You know how it goes. Northwestern. You know how it goes.
Yeah, I know how it goes. But I mean, you know what I mean? Like, we have opinions, and anytime I have like a nearly controversial opinion, I am clear to say I am not a basketball player. I could never do what they do. And I just think people need to remember that, because we start getting on Twitter and speaking like everything is facts, like we just know better. And sometimes that's not always the case. And I will just say, with that situation and like the bigger picture of that situation, it is my opinion that what Twitter thinks is the case is not the case.
No, and 100%. I salute that other side of it, because there's literally 5-6 videos of me laughing at this situation and Renee Montgomery. So, I mean, there is one where I'm like, yo, salute to Renee. I've been hard on her. But, for the most part, like the ones with the most views is like, I'm making fun of them. So definitely, want to keep that perspective. And I'm glad that you brought that up and defended her. Now, before we get into the main event that everybody is here for and stuff, I do want to highlight this and give you your flowers. Everybody applaud right now. Pause the video. No, don't pause the video. Keep playing the video. Stand up right now. Salute the flag. Everybody start clapping right now. Look at this, man. Some people on their 27th birthday, they don't even remember it. Some people on their 27th birthday, they slept in the bed all day. Some people, and that's fine, if that's the way you're feeling. But on your 27th birthday, you went to the game and you donated packages, free packages and everything to the people of Chicago. Like you said on a previous podcast, when people think of Chicago and the south side of Chicago, there's so many negative connotations to the city and the work. It's like all Black people hate each other in Chicago and they just kill it. Like, that's what Chicago is. Chirac, Lil Durk, But I mean, you're bringing a whole kind of positivity thing. And I think it's very important that we continuously can, you can never bring it up enough times. You can never give you your flowers enough times for this. So I just wanted to congratulate you and thank you for the work you're doing out here and, really reversing that narrative and stuff like that. Like going off of that, how did this come about? Where did this idea come from? And, what are some of the things that you're most proud of with Grow the Game, period? And then just, these type of community events that you guys have done?
So it started because, like I said, when I first became introduced to the WNBA, and it became like my go-to topic fairly quickly. So all throughout high school, most of college, like people will tell you just randomly on Twitter, like Subria is the first person, if not the only person I know that has always been talking about the WNBA, or like all the texts I got when the Sky won the championship were congratulating me, because people know like I have been, new and true to this, like before, like done that already. So when I started posting about it on Instagram and Twitter last season, I guess with like my introduction to the new WNBA Twitter, because I want to be clear, there used to be a WNBA Twitter back in the day where me and like Renee Montgomery and a few other people, like the OGs, we used to talk on Twitter all the time. And then I kind of, went to school, went to, grad school and law school, and then came back. And I'm like, oh, wow, whole new, WNBA Twitter. So people started seeing that from back here in Chicago. And they were like, you're always talking about, the Sky, and you're always at games. Like, I want to go. And so I'm like, okay, well, let's go. So as more people started interacting with me about it, I'm like, okay, there's quite a lot of traction of people who are like, I want to come to Chicago and let's go to a game. So I'm like, well, let me just pick a day and then we can all just go. So I picked the game, I guess the Mystics game, I think in July was the very first one. And we had maybe 42 people come. And that was just off a random, I picked the day and we're like, save the date. And then people sent me their money. And I bought everyone's ticket and sent it to them. So I kind of, had conversations with people and like, okay, if I'm as a random fan can just get 40 something people to send me their money and trust me to send them a ticket, and we all just randomly go with little to like no preparation, nothing official, I think it might be something to this. So I was like, okay, let me try this again. This time it'll be like a birthday event, so it'll be a little more special for me. And instead of gifts for me, I want to donate this experience with tickets for people who otherwise wouldn't be able to afford them and go to a game. A lot of first time people went because they'd never been to a game before. And I want to give back to the community, because everything about me, like you said, I love Chicago. If you meet me, the first thing you're probably going to find out about me is that I'm from Chicago. I'm going to just say it for no reason. But to take pride in that means I have to also take in the realities. And every time I go somewhere, I see a lot of houseless people in the community. And my heart is so big. I feel bad all the time. Like anytime someone asks me for money, if I have it, you can have it. And I'm not going to ask you which one, is none of my business. Just take it, if I don't have money, do you want me to get you some food? Like I will stop my whole day to feed someone, find them a blanket, find them some water, anything. And I knew of like my play cousin, Jaquil, who started his organization, Project I Am, to do that. So we partnered with him to do that because his birthday is a couple days before mine. So it was like a joint birthday party. And we were out there putting together the bags before the game. And then we all went to the game. And I've had the opportunity to since have conversations with people in the front office with the Sky. And now that we have an official partnership, this is going to be something we do at least once a month. I mean, that's low because.
Wait, hold on. Run that back. You said with the organization, hold on, run that back. Let them know what you just said again. Hold on. All right. Press play.
From my efforts last season, as just an idea of person trying to do something, Grow the Game is now a registered nonprofit organization, and we have now entered an official partnership with the Chicago Sky.
Y'all better start clapping, man. Some of y'all, I ain't even gonna go on the rant. Go, continue. I'm sorry.
But that includes selling tickets. So we have our own Ticketmaster link that takes you to the Chicago Sky's Ticketmaster page. And you can go and pick whatever game you want to go to. All the tickets that you purchase through that, they will attribute to us, and we get a portion of the ticket price donated back to Grow the Game. And we are in the process of figuring out our schedule, meaning there will be certain games where, although people can buy single game tickets through us, we still want to have this group experience. So we're going to pick some games to have a theme night, add something special to pregame panels, community service before the game. And then we're partnering with a bar, like literally around the corner from Wintrust, where certain games will even have like post-game meetups so that people can actually start building relationships with people in the WNBA community in Skytown. Because they are amazing people. Like, I know people talk about, just you tweeting people, but people in real life come through for you off of that. So, we're trying to do more community service, bring more people out to more games, more giveaways, more partnerships, and more sponsorships, all 2022.
27 years old, what is your excuse? 27 years old, what is your excuse? That's beautiful right there. I gotta hold back to it. And she's a Delta, so she been selling that down that she signed, by the way. But man, dog, how fulfilling is it when you have this idea, right? Of like, okay, this is what we want to do for the community, this is what we want to do and help bridge that gap. So, we're doing two things at the same time. We're growing the popularity of the WNBA in my community, but we're also giving back to the community and, doing something positive. How fulfilling is it to go from that idea to watch it, to write it on paper, send it in and see like the kids' faces or a family's face when you hand off a blessing bag to them, when you hand off a free ticket and put it in their hands? How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel like everything it took to get here, all the no's or all the pain in other directions that I tried to go to, it makes it feel like this was my purpose all along, mainly because I've always loved sports. Like, I've had internships in sports. I have a degree in sports administration, but I always felt conflicted. I would be like, well, I really love like the public service sector. When I went to law school, I was always about public service. I'm like, do I belong at a nonprofit? Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I love sports, but I love, the business side of things, but I also love the community. And then it just happened that I found my own way to do all of that at the same time. And there, I'm learning there was no other path that was going to get me here, because this is something that I had to create based on certain circumstances. So it feels like it was really meant to be. And it's something I really love doing. And I hope that there will be other things in the universe that align that will allow me to do this truly full time, and have the resources and the money to do it without having to like balance this and a whole bunch of other hustles to actually make money. Because I don't make like it's never going to be my goal to make money from this. But I just want to do it bigger and better. Like I always have new ideas on how to expand, and like this is not even where it goes in my mind. Like this is kind of like down here. When I think about it, it's so many things I want to do to get me like up here. And I hope one day we can have this conversation again and I can tell you that I got to do everything I wanted to do.
I say, well, I don't think you get a better commercial than that. So let's get to it right now. Instead of waiting to the end of the video, let's get to it right now. Where can people donate? Where can people help right now?
And anybody that wants to help, you can find all of our links for Chicago Sky tickets, and our Merch Madness fundraiser that ends after the championship game on April 3rd. You can go to www.growthegamew.com, and you can always donate to us on Venmo or Cash App at Grow the Game W.
Yeah, they got Zelle.
So Zelle, we are in the process of setting up, since now it's an actual organization and I have to get all of my information with the IRS and the 501c3 status and then do a bank account. I guess apparently so much stuff that goes into that, because I want everything to be legit. That's one thing I'm gonna say. Everything is legit for tax purposes.
Ain't nobody knocking on your door talking about me not doing that. Ain't nobody knocking on no doors. All right. Continue.
No. So until I am able to go through all the legal steps with a legit bank account to connect to Zelle, that's all I got right now.
Okay, for sure. All right, so that's Grow the Game. Definitely salute to that. Oh, you guys have some new shirts up. Okay.
So yes, they're our first shirt ever, but it's strictly for donors. So we are in the process of coming up with some designs where we will actually be selling merch. But for this one, we want to do something special to give back to all the people that have already given to us or that want to continue to give to us. So anyone who donates at least $35 between now and April 3rd, I might say April 4th when I wake up, will receive this free Grow the Game Merch Madness theme t-shirt. And the $35 obviously covers the cost of making the shirt, because we still have to support Black businesses and stuff, right? So we want to make sure that we pay them, cover the cost of that. We get our donation and it covers the shipping, because everyone's stuff will get shipped for free, included in the $35, as long as you live within the United States and maybe Puerto Rico. I have to double check with the USPS, but yeah.
All right, so all my people over there in Israel, y'all might have to wait for a little bit. You know, I got a lot of folks from Israel because of Danny, Aliyah. But anyways, where do I want to? Should we go with the bracket or should we go with Sue? Bracket or Sue? Which way do you want to go? I'll leave it up to you. You're the guest.
You know what? You surprised me. You can surprise me.
Are we talking about it? What are we talking about? We can talk
about everything, but because I really like how Clever Shirts was really clever with this design, and it's basically the March Madness bracket. We could do bracket to keep it in theme.
Let's go.
But we're still going to talk about it.
All right. Well, we'll keep it on a bracket thing. We're talking about brackets. Let's go. Brackets. Look at my bracket, 91%. Took a little hit. 139K, 950 points. Took a little hit. I have someone who is at like 960. So salute to them. I'm sorry, I should have had your name pulled up. All right, anyways, here we go. Final four is right here. You see it. I had Baylor instead of Louisville. Yeah, I guess just initial thoughts. What are you liking from each team? Forget each team. The matchups, right? We'll go matchups. South Carolina and Louisville. What are you liking in those matchups?
I'm liking that, South Carolina obviously can feel themselves for the most part. Like, they remain the number one seed. My only kind of thing is, and I don't even want to say this to like speak it up, but we saw in the W during finals where the presentation of awards was terrible. Like, if you go back and you look at all the people who got, like, JJ and the Sun won like all those awards, and I forgot who else won an award the postseason, they lost. So I'm hoping that
Diana Taurasi got the gold ball and lost.
Right. So I'm hoping that, South Carolina sweeping these awards today, they could reverse that, because I have them winning the national championship. So I need them to, like, focus. Don't let that go to your head. Just go out there, focus, do your thing, which I'm sure they will. But I don't think it's going to be, I'm not going to say they've had it easy this season, because they have, some teams have given them some go. But for the most part, this season, we turn on a South Carolina game. It's like, well, we already know how this is going to go. But, Louisville is feeling themselves. Like, they're trying to make history. So they hungry. And so I think, that might kind of give South Carolina some go at first. But like always, they're going to adjust. If South Carolina doesn't do anything else, they're going to adjust. So as long as they can, feed through Aliyah and get her those touches, and Zaya can get it when it popping early, I think they'll be fine. So I'm going to pick South Carolina.
Yeah, and this matchup is going to be very interesting. Cochran obviously dealing with the eye thing down low for Louisville, and then you have Haley Van, as good as advertised, man. As good as advertised, so aggressive, going down in the paint, so tough, finishing around the basket. She's going to go at Aliyah a lot. So, that's going to be interesting to see, is Aliyah going to get in foul trouble early on in that? That's something to watch.
Is she ever, though? Is Aliyah ever get in foul trouble?
Oh, that's why I have you on, Subria, to check me when I say things like that.
I don't see it. I don't think she does. I mean, I don't know if it's just like because of her footwork, and just, she's able to do things maybe kind of on the slide, but I don't ever really remember her being in foul trouble. So the fact that you bring that up, that's definitely going to be something to watch, because these refs are different, and I just say they're different. So we shall see.
And Haley drives like every play. But I mean, if Nas Hillman, didn't foul out, then I think that's a good sign as well of like kind of what to see.
But even if Aliyah doesn't, block shot, you don't need Aliyah. Aliyah doesn't need to get in foul trouble, honestly. Not just because she just got Defensive Player of the Year, but because if Aliyah's not blocking your shot, you got Cardoza, you got all of them, really. I think Henny blocked who, when they play Miami, I think Henny blocked Destiny Harden shot. So everybody on South Carolina could block your shot. So that's tough.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think, Zaya is always the X factor for them, because we all know, of course, Zaya's talent, but she's so hot, cold. So it's like, you're going to need hot. Yeah, all hands on deck, burn the boat. Salute to Miami Heat. But yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be a very interesting matchup. Of course, I still have South Carolina winning it all, but Louisville, like you said, is hot. And the way they beat Michigan, the fact that it was a 2-point game with about 2 minutes left, and then all of a sudden you look up and it's a 14-point game, they're hungry. And,
yeah.
They impressed me in those last like 2 minutes of that game the other night. So that was very interesting. I guess before we get on to the UConn game, how did you feel about UConn NC State the other night?
I'm heartbroken, and I'm not trying to I'm gonna be sisterly in this. I'm not ever gonna try to put blame on any of my sorors, because I don't think it was her fault. But I feel like if the game is tied, you have the ball, like essentially the last possession, it's like 6 seconds left in the game, and half of UConn is in foul trouble, you drive to the basket, okay? I put on Twitter, I'm going to drive to the basket, and while I'm doing it, I'm going to pray that somebody hit me And if they don't hit me, I'm gonna pray that a gust of wind just comes through the arena, and instead of their hands being straight up, maybe it's a little, cricket a little bit, and the ref just calls it. And even if not, I'm gonna fall out until I hear a whistle, because all you need is the free throw. Like, maybe UConn even says, no matter what, we don't foul. And maybe they part the Red Sea like Moses, and now you got a straight, shot to the bucket, and you get it in and you win. Or you get fouled, or somebody calls a foul, and you just have to make one of your free throws and you win the game. I don't know why on God's green, blue, orange earth would somebody draw up a play for somebody to shoot a three. You don't need a three. You got too greedy. You did not need the three. You just needed a whistle, a prayer, and a free throw, and they would have won that game. So clearly I am very turned about that ending. It broke my heart. I think it all boils down to, I think NC State lost that game more than UConn won that game, because the coach, if that's what the coach drew up, coach should have drew up something different. I think Diamond should have been in that game during the overtimes. And
they burned that last time out too in double overtime.
Yeah, that was, and they said that he did that exact same thing the last time they were in that exact same position. So I'm just gonna say that maybe they didn't, I don't know, maybe they didn't want it as bad as they thought, or the universe just did not want them. But I was rooting for them. I really was rooting for them. I think they had that game, and I really think they lost it more than UConn won it. It was a great game though, but I'm a little sad about it.
No, I agree with that. I think NC State blew it, but also Paige was blacked out. Paige blacked out. You got to give it up to Paige in the overtimes. 23 points after the second half until, the end of the game. She blacked out. Yeah. Best player in the country did best player in the country things. Go ahead.
But the reason why I agree that Paige went crazy, because it was for a minute, she wasn't missing anything. And I'm not going to discredit her from that. But when I talk about the fact that North Carolina had them where they wanted them and literally could have won that game before we even talk about overtime, that's why I have to differentiate that and say that they lost themselves that game. Because they could have won it right there.
Someone else could have beat UConn. Yeah, UCF. UCF definitely could have won that game. And that was in that was in stores. They could have won that game easily. They missed some free throws. They missed about 10 free throws down the stretch. And UConn just squeaked out. But yeah, I mean, they could have lost that game. They could have lost this game, but it is what it is. And but like you said your piece and stuff like that. Moving on now, Stanford. What are you liking? What are you seeing in this matchup?
I'm thinking that it's you really don't know which UConn you're gonna get, honestly. I'm thinking maybe if I'm Stanford, I'm hoping that UConn is so exhausted from that double overtime game, and we are just so well rested that we just come out and dominate from start to finish. That's what I'm hoping. Obviously, I know it's not gonna go like that. And this is going to be a matchup. Like, that's all I can say, that this is going to be a matchup. And I think it's going to come down to coaching. And I think whoever can outcoach the other is going to be who wins this game.
Is this, I think of the ghost of who's girl from Connecticut, from the Sun, with the lashes and the Ricky Dejanay.
Yeah.
Is it the ghost of Dejanay from last year? You think about what happened there, Stanford. That's kind of just, I don't know why my brain went there, but that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, the ghost of Dejanay Carrington.
Old school Stanford. But then again, though, wasn't that Stanford? Okay, so let's say that's the case. Isn't Stanford the team that had that kicked ball when they were playing South Carolina?
Against South Carolina, yeah.
So really everything in the universe, and that's another reason why it's like telling me it's going to be South Carolina. But, they say, the legend has it that ever since Gino did our good sis Candace Parker wrong, When was the last time UConn won a championship?
2016.
And when did she get left off Team USA?
2016.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, I mean, you talk about coaching on NC State's part. You know, it's also a lot of people who, you know, complain about Gino's rotations, especially in the tournament. You know, like Carolina's lost her, from what I'm hearing. Now, This is disclaimer. I haven't been watching every single minute of every single UConn tournament game. That's a disclaimer. So UConn fans, if you, I'm muted. Rashad Hayden. Okay, I'm hating. Blah blah blah. Caroline. I heard Caroline has lost a little of her mojo, a little of her confidence. He's not playing just most. Everybody gets into foul trouble, and it's like you got the freshman DeBerry on the bench, and he still isn't really, you know, kind of implementing her when all the other bigs are in foul trouble. So it's just like, you know, and now Dorcas hurt. So you have those things. But just on paper, UConn is so stacked from front to back to the second unit, third unit. You know, they can go 3 deep. You know, so I think that is just what, you know, like you said, you always kind of don't know what UConn you're going to get. But if them folks is locked in, Paige is at home, man, Paige going to do whatever in her power to make sure that, you know, she might get a 40 ball. She might get a 40 ball back in mini. Will that push them over the top? Probably so, in my opinion, but we don't know. So I think, but Haley Jones, this is so huge for her because, you know, we were talking last summer about, you know, them and her being overlooked in particular, like all season, they were number one. People still talking about UConn. People still talking about South Carolina. They're number one all season. And she's like, yeah, it's like we're always kind of slept on like that. And other people said it's because we're literally sleeping. You know, you guys play on the West Coast time. But this is your chance, Haley Jones, to show the world why you should get more respect and why your program should get more respect. It's not no Paige got hurt, twisted her ankle, and Ari McDonald hit the pose in the middle of the court. There's no more excuses. You wanted the biggest names, the best of the best. You got it. You had South Carolina last year. You stepped on the ball. Stepped on Zaya Cook's ball. They ain't called a kickball. So now you have no, like, what I'm saying. I'm speaking in circles. I'm saying the same thing. You have no excuses. This is your chance, Haley Jones. This is your chance, Stanford, for people not to be like, Stanford won last year. Well, I mean, this also happened.
Yeah.
This is your chance. So I'm very interested to see how Haley Jones in particular steps up for Stanford this game.
I mean, I think she is. I think she's one of those players that I don't even question. I already know what she's going to do in the game. And I just hope everybody gets a good night's rest. And because, I mean, it's going to be a game. Like, it is going to be a game. And I am actually excited because I don't really have a dog in a fight. I mean, I'm probably going for Stanford over UConn, but because neither one of these teams are the team that I have to win the championship, I can actually enjoy this game, and I hope it's really spicy, and I can't wait, actually.
Well, so say Stanford hypothetically advances Stanford versus South Carolina in the championship. Why does South Carolina beat Stanford?
They just don't have no choice. They have to remember that they've been disrespected all year, especially Aliyah with ESPN running that picture.
Yeah, I was about to say,
back, and you just got to take that and be like, I bet you won't run that picture no more, and just go crazy. That's the only answer, honestly.
Salute to Aliyah. She's so like humble and nice and stuff like that. But like, I could definitely see if that happened, like her bring, I mean, you know, like in passing, like Kawhi wins the championship, he does a laugh, you know, something like that.
Like honestly, if I'm Aliyah and we end up playing Stanford for the championship and we win, I'm hitting that GIF of that girl on America's Next Top Model where she like fake cries and then just like was like, nah, but
she does a little walk. Yeah, she does a little walk.
Like, that's what you got to do, and swing your pink and purple braids and be like, don't put that picture on nothing else no more, ESPN. Here, a new picture. And then just, you know, walk off. That's how I feel.
Or at least tweet it. Like, here's a new picture.
Yes.
With the championship. If they're holding it. Aliyah, if you're watching it, you probably not. You probably locked in. But if you're watching this, just do that. That's my advice. But I wanted to ask you, but before we got to Sue to wrap up the night, because you've been here so graciously, give your time. Jackson State. Yeah. How'd you feel about, Jackson State, pushing LSU to the limits? I made a video ahead of time and said Jackson State was going to ruin someone's March. And people didn't, some people were like, oh, they have to get within 50 points in the NCAA. I was like, I think it's going to be a different story this year, guys, because I made a 10-minute video about it. If you watch it, you might. So I already knew what they were about. Just how you feeling about Jackson State? How you feeling about the movement of HBCUs in general?
So after that game, I already decided, like regardless of who's gonna win, who's gonna lose. I was on online on Amazon looking for a Jackson State shirt because my daddy went to Jackson State. He's from Mississippi. But he told me he doesn't have any of his Jackson State stuff. So I was like, well, let me go and look on Amazon. So that following Monday, I wore a Jackson State shirt on the CHGO Sky podcast, and I gave my disclaimer about HBCUs and just, how people need to stop doubting them and coaches, because a few days before that, I had got a hot water again on Twitter when Howard played South Carolina, because I was like, look, I get it. And I myself am a fan of Dawn. Like, I got her jersey. She signed it for me from a conversation on Twitter. Like, I love South Carolina. I love Dawn. I love everything that program is doing. But as a competitor, I was kind of looking at Howard a little bit like, y'all are kind of fangirling over them a little too much. Not because you're Howard, not because of South Carolina, but strictly because y'all are about to play them. And I need you to get into that mentality that, y'all are equal. Whether y'all are equal or not in real life, I just need y'all to come in with that energy. And I felt like, and I wondered and questioned, like, were they putting them on such a high pedestal that they didn't have any more confidence to give themselves, and that they kind of took themselves out of that game when they played them? And so a lot of people were kind of coming at me like, it didn't matter. It didn't matter how much humility they had or how much confidence they had. They were just not going to be South Carolina, and they're a different program, and they're not a Power 5 school, and all this and yada, yada, yada. I'm like, okay, well, y'all say that HBCUs can battle with the best of them, but now you're saying that they can't because of, those type of inequities. And I'm like, the two things can be true at the same time, but I just want y'all to pick the narrative that y'all are trying to have. Because when we saw that LSU and JSU game, I didn't hear that at all. Like, there were no excuses being made about that. And, even though we know it's a reality, I didn't hear that. And so I was super, super happy that Jackson State was able to do that, just so that people won. They should have won. When I first watched it, I was upset, and I tweeted about it. I'm like, the rest completely changed the momentum of this game, and them being at home saved them for sure. And another time we see another coach getting attacked when Kim Mulkey does not receive the same treatment, but they absolutely.
Kim Mulkey was doing the gritty on the LSU logo with her jacket halfway off.
She always gonna take
the makeup is all down her cheek, and she doing the gritty on the, and they ain't called nothing.
Right, but hey, in the same breath that you talk about it and you want to bring attention to it, I know people everybody probably wish that their coach could get the same treatment, So it's kind of like, yeah, okay, we talk about it and it's unfair, but everybody deep down wants an unfair advantage. So I mean, like, I can't be too mad at Kim about it, but I can say that I need Kim to think about what she says and the implications of what she says when she speaks on HBCU coaches and whether or not they're going to be there that long. I think that was a little, I didn't really appreciate that. And I think that actually probably carried over a little bit when the rumor mill started about Coach Yo
going to
leaving. And it's just like, or even when people were like, give Coach Staley a promotion for the men's side of South Carolina. It's just like, I just need everybody to understand that your goals might not be the next coach's goals. And like for me, I love Grow the Game. I love it, you know, as a nonprofit organization. I would feel totally disrespected if somebody from you know, even the WNBA team came to me and said, I want you to do this for us and you don't have to work for Grow the Game anymore. Like, no, that's not a compliment to me. You know, like I'm doing what I want to do. Right. And I think, you know, we have to have serious conversations, and it's not fair because I think, you know, Black people, we always want the bag too, like everybody else. Like we fight for our lives, but at the same time, we do have to make conscious decisions about pouring into other people and programs. And like, look at what Coach Prime is doing, you know, at Jackson State. Like, is if they don't have them, it's like, you know, where's the line? You doing it for the bag and you chasing the bag, or is building up HBCU programs more important? That should you have to take somewhat of a pay? I'm not saying, you know, live on crumbs, but if it's enough money for you to do the job and live comfortably, even if it's not millions of dollars, will we see coaches who can really turn those programs around, make it what they are? You know?
And what did Coach Reed say in the post game? She said, we're doing it for the culture. Yeah. You got to do it for the culture.
For sure. For sure. And I love that for Jackson State. Proud of them, for sure.
Subria, is there anything else on the HBCU topic? I'm sorry for cutting you off at the end there.
Is there something else? Am I forgetting something? Is there something else I should be saying?
No. I just cut you off. So I was like, just wanted to make sure you got everything out.
Oh, and regardless of the outcome of Howard, like, I'm proud of them too. They made history. I'm glad that people are now talking more about Howard and Jackson State. And I hope we start seeing more HBCU names in these conversations. And I just hope people genuinely support them. And people start going back to their alma maters that, you know, everybody love an HBCU on Twitter, but, you know, like, are y'all really giving these HBCUs that y'all love so much real love? So shout out to the HBCUs. And that's all I got on that topic.
Amisha Williams needs to get drafted. And what is it, like 11 days, 12 days? Amisha Williams needs to get drafted in 12 days. Like, whether it's third round or whatever. Honestly, whether she makes a roster, it is what it is, but she should get drafted. Go ahead, Subria.
No, I was just saying, last year we had the opportunity to do a college and Greek night with the Sky. And I've kind of been wrestling around it and kind of figuring out, do I keep it college and Greek night, or do I do HBCUs get their own night? So I've kind of been, you know, having conversations with other teams. I won't say too much. I might come back and make an official announcement, but won't say too much. But I am having conversations with another WNBA team about, you know, showing more love for HBCUs and Greeks. And I love that I'm able to play off of Asia Wilson and Tiffany Mitchell and the fact that they're both AKA. So I try to make sure I do a Greek night when one of them is going to be playing. And obviously that will be the same case for when Ryan gets drafted number 1. But I'm hoping that somebody gets drafted from an HBCU, because wherever that person goes, they get an HBCU night for sure. So I need them to give me somebody from an HBCU to make that happen. But we're gonna do it.
What is Ryan? Ryan Delta?
No, her school colors let you know exactly what she is.
Sigma. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. She's a
Zeta. No, she's a Zeta.
Zeta.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I apologize. Lord have mercy. Y'all going, ooh. I'm gonna edit that out. All right. Let's close it up.
Okay.
So, Taylor Rooks posted this. This is my first time watching it. I saved it because I wanted to watch it. Candace, I ain't playing the whole thing in 7 minutes.
She talks about her experience with Gino and the Olympic team. and essentially saying that she felt like she didn't make the team because her and Gino did not get along. What was your reaction to that clip if you saw that?
Yeah, no, I saw it. Man, it's a tough one. It's tough. I mean, I think if I'm Candace, because obviously I was present for all the things, right? Whether it's the, training camp where she balled out and got MVP, I was there. I was with her. They do like a NBC kind of like huge media day. I was there with her for that, Yeah. That's like, when you go to that, you're like, kind of like, okay, they must think I'm on the team.
Yeah.
So, and then I texted her when they did announce the team, I texted her right away. Like, I don't remember what I said, but I just knew, right? Mm-hmm. Of course. And I think it's one of these things where it's like, if I put my Candace hat on, I could probably sit here and tell you that she should have been on the team.
Well, that's all I need to see. That's all I need to see.
It gets worse, actually.
What did you say?
It gets worse.
It gets. Wait, hold on. Let me read the caption. Problem isn't that player X from UConn is getting more attention than player Y. The problem is all of us aren't getting enough attention. And player X is from UConn. That also, but I mean, or / white. Sabrina, that's good. But salute to Bean, salute to Side. That's my dog. Everybody knows on the channel that's my dog. So they'd be like, Rashad, you turned heel. No, that's still my dog. I'm just saying what it is. Reaction.
Sue is not running for president. She is not running for any elected official position. Therefore, we did not need this politically correct answer. Like, what is UConn gonna do? Like, if you think that you answering that honestly was gonna fumble your UConn bag or whatever, then is that a bag you really want? Because we both know that you said a whole lot to say nothing. And you could have easily just, like you just said, she won MVP. Like, come on. She just won MVP in something that you're saying that you just admitted to when you were there, and then she didn't make the team. And we saw that with NECA, like she brought up NECA. You got NECA going on tour. She is the face of USA basketball, and then y'all just leave her off. And I'm not, and she talks about how she goes on in the video and she's like, people talk about, players and, UConn is just talented. So when you talk about like Breanna Stewart and Maya Moore, and I forgot, maybe she said Diana, but she's like, I just arguably named like, the 3 best players. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, right? But then my problem is Team USA wasn't necessarily the best players during their best years. They had some UConn people on there that I personally would not pick in a pickup game. And while they may have been so great in college, that doesn't make them, they had great teams and they had great seasons and they won a lot. But that doesn't make certain players on these winning teams the better player against like Asia Wilson or NECA or Candace. And like to say so, I think is just completely delusional for anybody to even think that. And you could have just validated Candace and just said, I think, it couldn't have been because she sucked. So it had to be something else. Like I would have even accepted that answer more. But like, stop trying to protect, just the UConn agenda and just be honest, because we can't move anywhere if y'all are the people that they keep asking the questions to and you just refuse to say an answer. Like, it's just not making sense. And I wish she would have been honest. And I think, like you said, it is about that everybody is from UConn, and it is about the fact that everybody needs more attention. But when you're giving 100 for 99% of the 5% effort that they're getting, that's not fair to everybody else. I think part of people hate UConn because they're just tired of hearing about UConn. And I also think that she was wild, for lack of a better word, to say that. And the Final Four programming includes a Tarazi and Bird show. Sue, you just got up here and told Taylor dead in her face. Oh, shout out to U of I, ILL. But you got up here in Taylor's face and you said it's not about that player X is from UConn. It's about that all of us need more attention. But only UConn and Diana are getting a whole show dedicated to the Final Four. Y'all the only number 2 seed. Why do y'all get to go and make the UConn? We was bad enough. We got to deal with Rebecca Lobo all the broadcasts, but now y'all get to come up here and do the Final Four. Like Diana Taurasi was already 98% of that Final Four commercial. Like they didn't even show Candace at all in that commercial, but it's like Asia Wilson and Ty Harris, why they don't get a A&T show? USA Basketball is there. Angel McCautry is there already. She's there. Call her up. Why isn't she getting a show to talk about Louisville? We was talking about how Shanae and Nneka be on TV. Call them up because they could give a Stanford show. It's very clear.
Call up the person who works for you.
You already got her direct deposit and HR. She on payroll.
You ain't even got to pay her.
So you can't sit here and tell us with a straight face, you're not gonna pee on me and tell me it's raining, Sue, because there's no way you said that, knowing that you just signed the paperwork for you and Diana to have a whole show, the only number 2 seed. So there's no reason why, like, I don't even understand. And Stanford is the reigning champs, and they are 1 seed, and they couldn't get Nneka and Shanae for the Ogwumike show, but you get a Bird and Tarazi show. Okay, Sue, and that's all I gotta say about that.
Salute to DT and Sue. I'm tired of DT and Sue. I saw a little collage today. It was like the next meeting, May 15th. I'm like, bro, I've been watching this my whole life. I'm tired of it. I've seen it. They had a good little goodbye too on the Holly Rowe. She brings over the loser. They never bring over the loser for those interviews. They switch jerseys. The crowd, one more year. She does a little golf clap. Like that's a great goodbye.
Yes.
Just go.
And I also, for the listeners, I want to be very clear. I rooted all throughout high school. I rooted for UConn because I was rooting for Maya Moore. And to this day, I still got beef with Skylar Diggins because Notre Dame beat them Maya's senior year. And Skylar ain't never even did that to me. But like, that's how much I was rooting for UConn. And then I grew up and was like, oh, there are so many more teams out here other than UConn. And I can say, as somebody with a whole bunch of UConn stuff and a huge fan of Diana Taurasi, I have Sue and Diana's jerseys both autographed. I can say objectively that there is in fact a UConn bias. And I kind of want to throw hands with everybody that was in that Seattle arena who was yelling one more year, because again, I need more people to take note from Simone. Simone, the story is that she was at training camp. She said, I am not getting up and down this court as fast as my peers. I think it's that time. And I just really want everybody to do that. I think it's unfair to the fans, especially if you're so like physically unable to travel to some games, because
DT even said that in the remember they had the photo shoot on the Slam. Who was it? It was DT, Sue, and who were the other two? Do you remember?
Nope.
That? Oh well, this was literally like last season, and they did the sit down interview, and DT was like, yeah, it's definitely it's tougher than ever again, and especially when you got old farts like us who won't retire and sit down, and it's like she was making light of it, and it's like nah, but for real though, like but DT can still play, like Sue can still play too. Is Sue in the GOAT conversation? People get on me all the time for what I say about Sue. No, she's not.
I don't think she is either. I think it's just the story of the two of them is what's selling. It's cute, it's iconic, and I'm all for that. Fine, but you can find some more stories like that, and I think people just haven't tried. But I just hope that we start to bring in a new era for the WNBA. I don't think there will be any love lost. Like, I think they could still walk into anybody's arena and still get on line of people, you know, for autographs. But yeah, I would like something new, please. But again, I love them. Much respect for them. But if Sylvia Fowles can sit up here, who just won Defensive Player of the Year, and be like, yeah, this is my last year, I just feel like people need to start taking notes.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I was like, yeah, she just announced that this was her last. So I guess who is one player that should get that shine? Who is one player in the W whose story is like madly undertold, underrepresented?
I wouldn't even know how to answer this without being super biased. So I honestly don't know. I'm just gonna have to say Brittany Sykes. That's what I'm gonna answer. Okay. That's what I'm thinking too. Because, you know, she also came from Syracuse, and like, you know, that's not one of the schools that's like popping out. Yeah, like and I would like to see her be embraced more, because I know that last year, I don't think she got the shine she deserved. I don't think she got the campaign push for Defensive Player of the Year that she deserved. And if that happened last year, and now she's going to be competing, you know, with Taya and Liz and Kennedy and all of those again.
Katie Lou.
I think, right, and bringing her, and everybody love to bring, oh, she's home and Jordan's home, and it's like, everybody's home, Hollywood, Liz Angeles. I think she's going to end up getting lost in the mix again. And obviously, like, Nneka is the face, and then with Nneka, Shanae. So it's just like, I don't want to see her disrespected by not getting the attention she deserves. So I just want to say, if you're listening and you write for a publication, or you have a podcast or anything, please feel free to invite Brittany Sykes onto your show, or do an interview, and you can hit me up to do it.
I might know a person. I don't know. But Subria, we appreciate it so much. Thank you for your time. This has been like an hour and 15 minutes. So I'm not going to hold you any longer. Where can people find you?
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Subria Whitaker, at SUBRIAWHITAKER. And as always, you can also find me behind the page of Grow the Game at Grow the Game W.
Appreciate it so much, Subria. Shout out to Kalia Davis. That's all I have. I think that's all I have. Roll the 2K subs. Everybody take care of yourselves. I'm sorry for calling them the Sigmas. Until next time.